Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of biology. And of course, today we are looking at functioning ecosystem. All right, we're in a bid to finish our discussion on ecology, and I'm sure in the next 2 to 3 episodes we'll round up. All right, do not forget that these tutorials, these episodes, all of these videos you are watching, they're brought to you by the O3 Schools app. We have the JAMB app, we have the WAEC app, and right now that WAEC is going CBT, you need the O3 Schools WAEC app more than never before, right? So please ensure you get the app, right? If you have made a decision that you want to pass your JAMB exam or pass your WAEC exam at once, okay, invest your time and your effort, okay, and get this app and study diligently. You give your testimony. You can see our testimony playlist, okay, and see how students' life have been transformed. It's not only about the 300 they were getting or all that, okay, but how their lives were really transformed. Their reading habits was cultivated, okay. Please ensure you watch to join O3 Schools immediately. Before we talk about the app, let us see a question from the app. This is a 2001 question, number 30, as relates to functioning ecosystem. It said that the highest percentage of energy in an ecosystem occurs at level of the A says producers, B says primary consumers, C says the secondary consumers, D says the decomposers. Right? So with our habit right here, what we do or what we believe strongly is that we need to teach you first. All right? And after we have taught you, answering questions will be the easiest thing for you. All right? We believe that the reason why you are unable to pass JAMB or answer questions properly is because you have not been taught properly. And you will see at the end of the class how easy the questions are going to be seen, drawn from past questions from the O3 Schools app, right? How they will become very easy for you. So please download the application immediately from Play Store. It has everything you need to succeed. All the past questions for all the subjects are on the app, so you will not have any need to go and buy any past questions outside. Likewise, there's a question search feature, okay? You use that feature to search for questions, all right, on a particular topic. So like, for example, the way we search for this one, we just go into question search, click on biology, which is the subject, then search for what? Functioning ecosystem. But any question or anywhere that JAMB has set question that relate to functioning ecosystem, all those questions will come out for us to answer. Amazing feature. Also, there's a classroom feature. In that classroom, it has recent JAMB syllabus. It has lecture notes structured according to that JAMB syllabus. All right. So first of all, you don't need to buy any textbook. All right. So those of you that will be asking, sir, which textbook do you recommend for me to use to study? Once you have the app, you do not need any textbook. All right. Then likewise, there's a study plan on that classroom. You can create a study plan. What the study plan does is that it crashes your syllabus, all right, and with your subject you want to study, okay, and prepares a timetable for you so that you can easily finish that syllabus in time. Many of you made the mistake of preparing for JAMB or WAEC or any other level exam without the syllabus. Right? It is very important. The syllabus are very, very related. Right? But it is important you study with it so that you can not miss out on any part. Likewise, also, we have the mock challenge. We have the JAMB mock, we have the WAEC mock. Okay, so every Saturday, students come to the app to compete. So they're writing JAMB and WAEC, come to the app, to the JAMB or WAEC app to compete with each other to win amazing prizes. But the reason why we conduct that mock is not because of prizes. So, all right, it's for you to get used to JAMB or WAEC past question, JAMB or WAEC likely exam question, is for you to familiarize yourself with how JAMB set question, to put yourself in place of the examiner, to see how it's reasoning, how it might want to confuse you. All right, and after the end of every mock exam, we release the results, okay? And when you see your results, you can use it to plan or to track how prepared you are for the exam, okay? There's an activation fee for the app, all right? So ensure you check the app for the current activation fee. To activate it, just click on activate. At the top, you see where they wrote buy activation key. Click on that buy activation key. You see the options you can use to activate. Okay, feel free, make the payment, activate your app, and start immediately. All right. Just know that the price is less than the price of rice and chicken in a good restaurant. Okay, so we're looking at functioning ecosystem. Functioning ecosystem, and it is very important to note that ecosystem itself, as you see, okay, it's a natural functioning unit in nature. Okay, it's a natural functioning unit in what? In nature, the ecosystem, all right? It's a natural functioning unit, all right, in nature, right? So anywhere you go, okay, you see what? An ecosystem, right? So it's a natural functioning unit in nature, and it is made up of, we have what? Living what? Organisms. We have living organisms, okay, in an ecosystem. And then very importantly, you have what? The non-living environment. The non-living environment. All right. So this means that what? In an ecosystem, all right, you find what? The living organisms, all right, and then you see what? The non-living what? Organic, the non-living what? Environment. The environment is non-living, okay, while the living organisms are the one that are living, okay. Now also the biotic components in this what? Ecosystem, such as the producers, such as what? The consumers, okay, they what? They interact. They interact with what? With each other. They interact what? With what? With each other, all right? Thereby making the what? The ecosystem, all right, to be a functional unit. To be what? A functional, this functioning what unit? To be what? A functional what unit? So the biotic factors, so that the producers and the consumer, they interact with each other, making the what? The ecosystem to be what? To be functional, all right? And of course, now we have what? Ways we can what? Classify biotic components, okay, into two main groups based on how these organisms are what? Are feeding, all right? We classify biotic components into what? We have ones we call the autotrophs. The autotrophs. They also have the ones we call what? The heterotrophs, okay? And then likewise, we talk about the decomposers. Decomposers. All right, so next up now, I want to look at what? The autotrophs, the heterotrophs, and what? And the decomposer. Now, before I talk about this, we have discovered that many of you do not support what we are doing here, all right? In fact, we have heard that many of you are going to swear that in your family, you don't used to support people, okay? You don't even want your other JAMBites, okay, or students who want to write WAEC to pass for the exam. So because of that, you do not like the video, okay? This video you are watching, you will not like it. You have sworn that you will not like it. Some of you have sworn that you will not share the link. Some of you have sworn, right, that you will not subscribe to this channel. That thing you are doing so no good. It's very bad. Please, we are begging you, like the video. Leave everything you are doing now and like this video, because liking the video will make this video to be recommended to students who are preparing for this exam like you. All right. So please, so that this video will have more reach to them, please try and like this video. Like it. And of course, subscribe to this channel. Subscription is free. It's just for you to get notification whenever we release a new video. So if you are not subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button below this video. And likewise, very importantly too, copy the link, okay, of this video, share it to your class group, share it to your friends, share it to your loved ones, share it to your junior ones, even the ones in SS1. Let us start preparing with us on time. You'll see how good they become before they get to SS3. All right, so please, this is our humble plea. Ensure you do this. So we have what? Autotrophs, we have what? Heterotrophs, and then we also have what? Decomposers. Now, autotrophs are those organisms that can work, that can manufacture their own food. All right, we know this is not a new term to us. Autotroph, we'll talk about autotrophic nutrition, all right, when we did what? Nutrition, all right. So you know that autotrophs, they can manufacture their own food, right? So now, let us begin with the autotrophs. Autotrophs. Now, what are autotrophs? All right, we said that what? Autotrophs, they are They are organisms, okay? They may be green, okay? They may be even bacteria, some bacteria. There may be some bacteria, all right? And then also some photosynthesizing protists, okay? They're also an example of autotrophs, okay? So autotrophs they are what? Organisms, N-I, okay? So they may be what? Green, all right? Green plants, they may be what now? Bacteria, which use the sunlight, sunlight or chemical to manufacture their food all the way from inorganic substances, through a process called what now? Photosynthesis. Okay, so these are what? Autotrophs. Autotrophs, they are organisms. Okay, they may be green. Okay, there may be some bacteria, or like I said, there may be some photosynthesizing what protists, which use what? Sunlight or chemical to manufacture their food from what? Inorganic substances. All right, and they do this through a process that is called what? Photosynthesis. All right, so it's important to know also that autotrophs, okay, they may also be known, they may also be called what? Producers. Okay, since for this autotrophs, they have the ability to convert the energy of what? Of sunlight, right, to what? To a chemical compound to produce what? Food. It therefore means that what? They can what? Manufacture their own food, and therefore they are called what? Producers. All right, so take note of that. Autotrophs are also known as what? As producers. And very importantly, take note that what? That a producer is a green or what? It's a green plant or autotroph. A producer, on the other hand, producer, which is the same thing as what? As autotrophs, okay, is a green plant, okay, or call them what? Autotroph, which what? Traps what? The energy of sunlight, that is what? Solar, okay, which what? Traps the energy of what? Sunlight, solar, and then what? Converts it to what? To an organic compound. All right, so like we said, the producer is also known as what? As an autotroph. Okay, so a producer, what they do is that they trap what? The energy of what? Of sunlight, okay, then convert it to what? To an organic what? Compound. All right, so like what? Like food. This organic compound is the food we're talking about. So producers or autotrophs, they have the ability to manufacture their own food, all right, using what? The energy from what? From the sun. All right, they can either use sunlight or chemical to manufacture their food, right, from inorganic substances. And this process, like I said, is what? Through what? Photosynthesis. Now, let us now talk about what? Heterotrophs. Okay. Now, on the other hand, heterotrophs do not have what? The ability to manufacture their own food. All right. So heterotrophs, they depend. They depend on what? On these producers. All right, because they cannot what? Photosynthesize, then it means they cannot what? Manufacture their own food. So they depend on what? On these producers to get their own what? Source of what? Of energy. All right, so we're going to look at what? Heterotrophs now. Heterotrophs. So now, what are heterotrophs? Okay, so like we said, they depend, all right, on what? On the autotrophs, okay, for what? For food. So we say that heterotrophs are organisms, mainly what? Animals, which what? Cannot manufacture their own food, which cannot manufacture their own food, but depend directly or indirectly on plants for food. Okay, so these ones are the ones we call the heterotrophs. So they are organisms, mainly animals, which what? Cannot what? Manufacture their own food. They cannot photosynthesize. All right, so they have to what? Depend either directly or indirectly on what? On plants for food. They are the ones that we know are called as what? As heterotrophs. And because they cannot manufacture their own food, they cannot photosynthesize, we now call them what? Consumers. Okay, so heterotrophs are also known as what? Consumers. All right, so we said what? Autotrophs, they are known as what? Producers. Heterotrophs, on the other hand, they are known as what? As consumers. Okay, and the reason they are called consumers is because they cannot manufacture their own food, so they have to depend on what? on what? On autotrophs, all right? To what? To get their food. So that's the reason we call them what? Consumers, all right? Now, consumers can be grouped into one. We have ones we call what? The primary consumers, all right? The primary consumers. We have the ones we call the secondary consumers. We have the ones we call what? The tertiary consumers. And then we now have what? The detritivores, all right? The ones that feed on what? Dead organisms, okay, like vultures, okay? Those are the ones we call the detritivores. So number one, among the consumers, we say that divided into what? That divided into four, I think. Okay, four, yes. So number one, we have the herbivores. Okay, these ones that are what? The primary consumers. Okay, so herbivores are what? Are organisms, all right? They are what? That feed. They are the animals that feed on what? On grasses. All right, they feed on what? On grasses. Or they feed on what? On plants. They feed on plants. Okay, this one they feed on plants. That's why you are saying herbs. Okay, they are herbivores, all right? They are known as what? The primary consumers. There's one that feed directly on what? On the plants. Then after herbivores, we now have what? The carnivores. Then number two, we now have what? Carnivores. These ones are known as what? As the secondary consumers. All right, these ones are the ones that feed on what? On the herbivores. Okay, they feed on them. All right, they are the ones we call what? The carnivores. They are the secondary consumers. Then we now have what? The omnivores. Okay, carnivores feed on flesh. Okay, just say they feed on what? On flesh. This one they feed on plants. This one they feed on what? On flesh. All right. So we now have what? The omnivores. These omnivores, that's what we call what? The tertiary consumers. Okay, omnivores, they feed on both plants and what? And flesh. Okay, both what? Plants and flesh. All right, and then what? We now have what? The detritivores. Number four. Detritivores. This one, what? They feed on what? On dead. They feed on what? On dead what? Organisms. Okay, they feed on dead organisms. Feed on dead organisms. Okay, all right. So example is what? Is vulture. Okay, that's an example of what? Of a detritivore. Okay, so what detritivores do is that they feed on what? They feed on what? Dead organisms that are what? Dead animals that are what? That feed on organisms that are dead or recently dead. Okay, that are what? The ones we call what? The detritivores. All right, an example of such organisms what? Is the vulture. All right, so now these are what? The classification of what? Of the consumers: the herbivores, primary consumer; carnivores, secondary consumers; omnivores, tertiary; and then we now have for detritivores. All right, so now also when we talk about autotrophs, so I didn't actually give you some examples. All right, so for example, we have what? Terrestrial examples of what? Of autotrophs. Terrestrial or examples of what? Of autotrophs. We're talking about autotrophs now. Examples. So okay, the organisms that can manufacture their own food. Okay, terrestrial examples of what? Of them are: number one, we have grasses, trees, okay, shrubs. Okay, all of these are what? They are terrestrial. Okay, let me just remove this number one. All these are what? They are terrestrial examples of what? Of autotrophs, terrestrial. They also have aquatic examples. All right, those ones are what? That are in water. For example, we have what? The phytoplankton. All right, this phytoplankton, okay, is what? Is an aquatic what? Example of what? Of an autotroph. Also, we also have seaweeds. Seaweeds, okay. They also have what? The hyacinth, called the what? The water hyacinth. All right. We also have what? The water hyacinth. Okay, so we have what? Water hyacinth, we have what? Seaweeds, we have what? Phytoplanktons. All of these are examples of what? Of what are they called? Examples of what? Of autotrophs. Terrestrial examples are the ones I said, yeah, grasses, trees, and shrubs. The aquatic examples are what? This what? Photoplankton, seaweed, and what? Water hyacinth. Okay, please take note of that. So now we'll now go to what? The decomposers. Decomposers. All right, so decomposer. Please ensure you like this video. Okay, all right. If you have done that, thank you so much for doing that. Okay, if you have not do that, all right, please ensure you subscribe to this channel. All right, subscribe to this channel and share the link. Share the link of this video to your friends and loved ones. All right, it will go a long way. Now let us now look at what the decomposers. Therefore, what these decomposers? These decomposers, they are what's it called? They are fungi or bacteria. Okay, they are fungi or what? Bacteria. Okay, and these fungi or bacteria, they live. Okay, they live saprophytically, which live what? Saprophytically. Okay, by this means that what they feed and feeds on dead, they feed on dead remains of plants, not only plants, animals, okay, and what? And organisms. All right, leading to or what? Breaking down of organic matters to produce soluble nutrients, which are now what? Which are absorbed by the plants. All right, so these are what? Decomposers. They are fungi or bacteria which live saprophytically. They feed on what? Dead remains of plants. They feed on dead remains of animals and dead remains of organisms, leading to breaking down of organic matter to produce what? Soluble nutrients. Okay, the purpose of the word, they break down what this organic matter is to produce soluble nutrients, and then these nutrients, they are now what? Absorbed by the what? By the plant. All right, they are what? They are called decomposers. They are called decomposers. All right, they feed on what? They live saprophytically. This is the key word here. All right, so they what? Help to what? To break down organic matter to produce soluble nutrients. Okay, which are then now what? Absorbed by the plant. Okay, so the plant can now what? Grow. All right, the herbivore can now come eat. All right, the carnivore can what? Eat the what? The herbivore. All right, another what? Tertiary consumer can eat what? The secondary consumer, and so on and so forth. All right, so that is what? Decomposers. And examples of what decomposers are, we have what? Termites. We have insects like what? Like termites. Okay, we also have what? Larvae of what? Of housefly. All right, called what? Maggot. All right, so larvae of what? Of housefly. Okay, called what? Maggot. It's an example of what? Of decomposers. Okay, we also have other examples. All right, so just take note of what? Termites are what? And larvae of housefly. All right, so these are what? Called what? Decomposers. Now we're going to what? Feeding relationship. Feeding relationship. And under this, we're going to see the food chain. Okay, then we're going to see the food web also. Okay, so now we're going to begin with the food chain. All right, so please ensure you have liked this video. Okay, you have subscribed and you are sharing. You are sharing. So let us look at what? Food chain. Food chain is a linear feeding relationship. It is a linear feeding relationship. So we're looking at food chain. Food chain. Okay, so what is what? Food chain. Okay, so say food chain is a feeding relationship involving the transfer of energies, from what? From the producers. Through what? A series of what? Of organisms. Through a series of, okay, I'm put it here, series of organisms. Okay, so Food chain is a feeding relationship involving the transfer of energy from the producers to what? To the consumers. To consumers. Okay? Through what? A series of what? Of organisms. Okay? That is food chain. A feeding relationship. For example, we have grass. Okay? Then, what can eat what? Grass. Okay? Let us say rabbits. Rabbits can eat what? Grass. Okay? Then, let us now say that what? That lion. We eat what? Rabbit. All right. So this is what? This is a linear feeding relationship. All right. So from this producer, we have what? This primary consumer. Then we now have what? This what? Secondary what? Consumer. Okay. So energy is what is transferred. All right. So the direction of this arrow, you see the arrow going in this direction because the energy from the grass is transferred to the rabbit. Then energy from the rabbit is transferred to the lion as lion feeds on what? On the rabbit. Okay, so it is a linear, we call it a linear feeding relationship. Okay, so it is what? A linear feeding relationship. And that is why we say, please take note here, there's a consumer here from the producers to the consumers through a series of what? Of organisms. Okay, and that's how we say that what? It is a linear feeding relationship. Okay, sorry, in which energy is transferred. In which energy is transferred. Okay, from what? Right from what? From the producers. All right, then what to what? To the consumers. Okay, and of course through what? Through a series of what? Energy. It's a linear feeding relationship in which energy is transferred from the plants. Okay, from the plants, which is what? The producer. Okay, transferred from the plants. Okay, through what? A series of what? Of organisms. So now let us see a good example of what? Of a food chain. We are going to see a terrestrial example, and then we are going to see what? An aquatic example. Okay, so now for the terrestrial example, we have what? Let's say we have guinea grass. Okay, guinea grass. All right, then from the guinea grass, a grasshopper comes and eats what? The guinea grass. This is a grasshopper. Okay, and then what? A toad comes to eat what? This grasshopper. Okay, you see toad. All right, then of course, what can I eat what? Toad. Okay, let us now say a snake comes. A snake comes and what? And eats what? This toad. All right, so you can see what? The direction of what? Transfer for this energy. Okay, now take note that what? That as the energy is what is going, it is decreasing. Okay, so from guinea grass has the highest what amount of energy because it is the one that is what involved, okay, in photosynthesizing, converting the energy of what? Of the sun. All right, and uses to what? To produce what? Make food for its own self. So it has what? The highest energy. All right, so it decreases as to go across what? The chain. All right, so please take note of that. Now, this is a guinea grass. Is the producer. Okay, then we now have what? A grasshopper. A grasshopper, which is now the what? The primary consumer. All right, they will now have the toad, which is what? The secondary consumer. Okay, because the snake feeds on the toad, the snake becomes the tertiary consumer. Tertiary consumer. Please take note of that. All right. So the guinea grass is what? Is the producer. The grasshopper is what? Is the primary consumer. The toad is what? Is the secondary consumer. The snake is what? Is the tertiary consumer. Now take note that each step along what? A feeding pathway. Each step along a feeding pathway. Okay, each step along what? A feeding pathway is known as what? Trophic levels. Trophic. TROPHIC levels. Okay, or what? Feeding what? Levels. Okay, so it's called what? Trophic levels. All right, so from the guinea grass, which is the producer, to the grasshopper, which is a primary consumer, they will now get to the toad, which is a secondary consumer. Then we have what? The snake, which is also what? The tertiary consumer. Now for the aquatic what habitat, this one, remember this one is terrestrial, okay? This is land. Okay, now for the aquatic what's it called? For the aquatic what habitat, okay, I'm going to have what example? Diatoms. Okay, these diatoms, they are what? They are single cell what algae. Okay, they are single cell what algae. All right. So from the diatoms, then what can feed on this what diatoms? Mosquito larvae can feed on what? On these diatoms. Okay, so we are going to have what? Mosquito larvae. All right, they can feed on what? On the diatoms. All right, this is the direction of what? Of the arrow. All right. So now, what can I feed on what? This what? Mosquito larvae. Okay, tilapia fish can feed on it. Tilapia fish. And then what can feed on tilapia fish? The whale. All right. So this is on the what? On the what? This for aquatic. An example for aquatic what habitat. This one is for terrestrial on the land. This one for aquatic on the water. All right. So these diatoms, these are what? Which are what? Single cell what? Algae. All right. They can be fed upon by the mosquito or larvae. The tilapia fish can feed on mosquito larvae, while the whale can feed on the tilapia fish. So this one is also what? The producer. This one is also the primary consumer. This one is what? The secondary consumer. Then this one is the tertiary consumer. All right. So that is that about what? The food chain. The food chain is a feeding relationship involving the transfer of energy. Energy is transferred. Okay. That's why I see this direction of this arrow. Okay. Energy is transferred from the guinea grass to the grasshopper. Right? So energy is transferred. All right. So even as the toad feeds on the grasshopper, energy from this grasshopper is transferred to the toad. As the snake is feeding on this toad, energy, when you get to food web, you understand this very well. Okay, that's why I said that what each feeding part, okay, each what step along a feeding pathway is known as what? Trophic level. All right. So we are going to use what? The arrow in food web. Okay, food web is very easy, but it can confuse a lot of students. Okay, so it is the arrow you look at to see what the pathway of what? Of the energy transfer. Okay, so then the aquatic, we have diatoms, mosquito larvae, tilapia fish, and what? And the whale. And so in what? In food chain, okay, we say that what? That the producers usually what? Occupy the first trophic what level. Okay, they occupy the first trophic level. Okay, and as you continue, you see that what? The energy, okay, is decreasing. It decreases. And why is it decreasing? Because some energy is what is lost as heat. Now we'll now go to what? To the food web. All right, so let us look at the food web. All right, so please ensure you download the O3 Schools app. All right. Okay, if you that is solution to any problem you will have as a student preparing for the examination. Download the O3 Schools application, and you have no single wahala. Okay, so now let's look at what the food web. So what is what? The food web? Okay, so unlike the food chain that is a linear what feeding relationship among organisms, okay, the food web on the other hand is a complex, call it a complex feeding relationship. Okay, we say it's a complex feeding relationship amongst what? Organisms, okay, in an environment. All right, so it is complex. It is not straight. It is not linear, like the food chain. And of course, the food web has more number of organisms, okay, in this web than the food chain. All right. So we say it's a complex feeding relationship, all right, among organisms like food web, a complex feeding relationship among organisms in the same environment, with two or more food chain. Okay, so in the food web, you can find more than one food chain. Okay, and they say it's a complex feeding relationship, a very complex feeding relationship among organisms in the same environment. All right, so food web contains two or more food chains, and therefore very important is you now know that more organisms are in what? In food web than they are, okay, in what? In food chain, all right? More organisms are in food web, right, than they are in food chain. Now, let us see an example of what? Of a food web, okay? So let us see what, let us start with guinea grass. Let's say we have guinea grass, which is what? Our producer, okay? Because it's our what? It's our producer. And then, of course, let us look for organisms that can what? Eat what? This guinea grass, okay? Of course, grass cutter can eat guinea grass. So let's say we have grass cutter here. Grass cutter here. All right. Then here, let's say we have lizard. All right. Then let's say here we have mouse. Here somewhere here, mouse. Okay. Then let us say we have snake. Snake here. Then let us say here we have hawk. Hawk. Okay. Then let's say we have eagle here. All right. Then let us say here at the bottom here we have man. Okay. Then what's other? Let's say we have fox here too. Fox. All right. Is that all? Okay. We can run with this. All right. So this is what a food word is, a food web. Okay. So, but we have not shown the direction. All right, the direction of the energy transfer. Like we said, that the arrow, okay, the direction of what? Of the energy transfer is what is shown by what? By this arrow. Okay, so once an organism what? Eats what? Another organism, the energy is transferred from the organism that is eating to that what? Organism that ate that organism. Okay, so now if I do something like this, let me say for example, fox eats mouse. Let's say fox, mouse. All right, like this to fox. It means that what? The energy from mouse has been transferred to what? To the fox. Right, that's what exactly means. So we use our arrow to what? To find out what? To find what relationship, okay, between what? These organisms. Okay, so number one, you know that definitely that grass cutter will eat grass, so energy from this grass cutter is being transferred to what? To energy from the guinea grass, sorry, because grass cutter will eat grass. So energy from the guinea grass will definitely be transferred to the grass cutter. Right? Let's also find some other ones. We know that what okay. Man will eat fox. Okay. So energy from this fox will be transferred to the man. Right? Man will kill eagle and chop it too. So energy from what? This what? Eagle is transferred to the man. All right. So now the snake. What can the snake eat here? Okay. The snake can eat what? The lizard. Right, so energy from this lizard, right, is transferred to this snake. You can see how complex the relationship is. Okay, so now let's see the hawk. What can the hawk eat? Okay, the hawk can eat the what? The lizard. All right, so energy from what? From this lizard is transferred to this hawk. Okay, the lizard, does the lizard eat grass? Okay, all right, let us assume that lizards eat grass. All right, so I think lizards eat grass, right? They do. So lizard will what? Will eat guinea grass. So energy from this guinea grass will transfer to the what? To the lizard. All right. Then what else? Fox and mouse. This is where it gets what? Interesting, because what? Fox and mouse. Fox can eat what? Mouse. So energy from this mouse, okay, will be transferred what? To the fox. All right. What else? All right. Eagle and snake. Energy from the snake will be transferred to the what? To the eagle, because the eagle can eat what? The snake. The snake can eat what? The mouse. So energy from what? From this mouse is transferred what? To the snake. All right. Then of course the fox can also eat the grass cutter. So energy from what? From the grass cutter is transferred to the fox. All right. Then what else? Can the eagle eat what? Grass cutter. The eagle should be able to eat the grass cutter, definitely. So energy from what? From this grass cutter can be transferred also to the what? To the eagle. So you are seeing what? A complex what? Relationship. A complex relationship. Also, man can what? Kill hawk. Okay, even though you know chop but it can chop, we know that it can eat it. All right, so energy from this hawk can also be transferred to the man. So it's a complex, I'll say it is a complex what? It's a complex feeding relationship, okay, that exists between what? Organisms what? In an environment, okay, and it contains more than what? More than one food chain. So that is what? The food web. Now up next, let us look at what we call pyramid of numbers, okay. Let's look at pyramids of numbers. Pyramids of numbers. Please ensure you like download this app. Download this app. and start preparing for exams. Very necessary. So we have a pyramid of numbers. So what is what? A pyramid of numbers. We define pyramid of numbers as the number of individual organisms, number of individual organisms of each trophic level, which decreases, they decrease progressively, from the first to the last trophic level in a food chain. Okay, so that's what we call the pyramid of what? Of numbers. All right, the number of what? Individual organisms of each trophic level, which decreases progressively. You must take note of this. All right, which decreases progressively from the very first to the what? Last trophic what level. All right, so let me just show you what a food chain, in a food chain basically. So now if you have what? A food chain like this, we have guinea grass, and then a grasshopper hops on it. Okay, and then what? Let's say a toad hops on the grasshopper, and then what? A lizard. Then what? Now have what? An hawk. Okay, hawk will eat what? Lizard, isn't it? Now you know that what? This is what the direction of what? Of energy flow. Okay, so in pyramid of numbers, okay, what happens is that we show what? A diagrammatic representation, okay, of what? Of the food chain with what? This producer, this is our producer, isn't it? Producer. Okay, our producer being what? At the base of the food of the pyramid of what? Of numbers, while our hawk is at the apex of the pyramid of what? Of numbers. All right. So from one trophic level to the next, what do you observe? You observe that as grasshoppers are what? Eating grass. We know that grass what can grow again. Okay. When decomposers what? Act on what? On what? On the consumers. Okay. On the tertiary consumers or anyone, they will decompose and then what? Supply nutrients back for grass to grow. We know they will grow, but when grasshopper hits what? Grass will reduce, isn't it? Toad will eat grasshopper. The number of grasshoppers, are they supposed to be increasing when toad are eating them? No. So when lizard feeds on toad, are the number of toads supposed to be increasing or no? Hawk feeds on lizard, the number of lizards will be decreasing. That's why I say that what? The number of individual organisms of each trophic level, which decreases progressively, they decrease progressively from the first, okay, to the what? To the last what? Trophic what? Level. All right, so they decrease progressively. Let me quickly show you how what a pyramid of numbers looks like. Okay, so using the same food chain I just drew just now, okay, this is how what the pyramid of numbers look like. Okay, so we can have something like this. All right, then this, then we'll now have something like this. All right, then we'll have something like this. Okay, I mean this 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, then now something like this. Okay, so this is what? A pyramid. Okay, look at the way it looks like. It looks like a pyramid. At the base of this food chain, in the pyramid of numbers, you find what? The producers. Okay, so here we have our guinea grass because it's our producer. Then what we eat the guinea grass is what? The grasshopper. Okay, then what? We now have what? The toad. Then here we have what? The lizard. Then here we now have what? The hawk. Okay, so our producer here, which is what? The guinea grass, you can see it at what? At the bottom of the pyramid of numbers. Okay, while what? Our hawk here, which is what? The carnivore, okay, is what? Is at the top of what? Of the what? Of the pyramid of number. Okay, so this is exactly how what a pyramid of numbers is. Okay, so say the pyramid of number is a diagrammatic representation of food chain. Okay, with the what now? With the producer being at the base of the what? Pyramid of number, while what? The hawk, okay, is what? Is at the apex, okay, of the pyramid of numbers. Okay, to define pyramid of numbers in an easy way is the number of what? Individual organisms at each trophic level at a particular time. Okay, so that is what we call the pyramid of what, of numbers. All right, so if that is clear, let us now look at the pyramid of energy on the other hand. All right, so please ensure you download the O3 Schools app or download the app. All right, go and check the testimonies of last year. You see students scoring 300 effortlessly. Please join them. Start early. All right, you see how far you go. Now let's look at pyramid of energy. Pyramid of energy. Okay, we define pyramid of energy as the amount of energy present in the living organism, at different levels of what? A food chain. Okay, so that's what we know as what are the pyramid of energy. The amount of energy present in the living organism at different levels of what? Of a food chain. So at each trophic level, the amount of energy that is present, okay, in the living organism at what different levels of the food chain is what we known as as the pyramid of energy. And there's something we call the 10% rule when it comes to the pyramid of energy. Okay, it means that from the producers, okay, the energy that is transferred, okay, to the next organism after the producer, okay, is 10% that of the producer. Okay, we call it the 10% rule. Okay, the 10% rule, all right? The energy transfer from the producer to the next organism is what? Is just 10%, okay, of that of the producer, right? And also from that primary consumer to the next secondary consumer is still 10% also of this, okay, which will make it now 1%, okay? Then from this one also to the next one is 0.1%, then we'll have 0.01 and so on for like that. Okay, so if the producer is 100% like this, okay, the next one will be 10%, the next one will be 1%, the next one will be 0.1%, the next one will be 0.01%, okay? So that is what the pyramid of energy is what it's about, okay? So let me just quickly show you how it looks like. It's like a pyramid, of course, like this. All right. So below here we have our producer here, the base 100%. Okay. Then here we now have 10%. This one is our primary consumer. Okay. Then we have here 1%. We have here 0.1%. Then here what now? 0.01%. Okay, so this is what the pyramid of energy. Okay, is showing us. Okay, it's showing us what the energy present in the living organism at different levels of a food chain. Okay, it's as simple as ABC. All right, now let us see the flow of energy to end the class. Flow of energy. Okay, now please take note that the energy of food is unidirectional. All right, the energy of food is it flows in one direction. All right, the energy of food flows in one direction. That's what we mean by unidirectional. So the energy of food is unidirectional. It flows only in one direction. For example, from the sun. From sun, okay, it goes to the producers. Okay, from the producers, it goes to the consumers. Okay, from the consumers, it goes to the to the decomposers. Okay, and then to the environment. All right, so the energy of food is unidirectional. It's unidirectional. That's what the flow of energy. And the energy is is either used. It's either you use it, okay? It's either used or it is stored. All right, it's either used or stored. And light energy from the sun, light energy, that is light. Light energy from the sun is absorbed, okay, by the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll in green plants. All right, and then what do they use it to do? They use it to photosynthesize. They photosynthesize with it, and then they manufacture carbohydrates. Okay, so the light energy from the sun is what is absorbed by the chlorophyll. Okay, in the plants they use this what's it called, this light energy to photosynthesize, and then they produce what, carbohydrate. Now the chemical energy is transferred, right from the producers to the primary consumers. When primary consumers transfer to the secondary consumers, and secondary consumers to the tertiary consumer, like that. Okay, so that is what the flow of energy. All right, take note of that. All right, so energy of food, take note that it is unidirectional. I spent a lot of time here, so let us quickly round up with what we question from the O3 Schools app. So among the questions we have here, we have 2001 number 30. You see how easy these questions are now. So you don't even need my help answering them. 2001 number 30. It says the highest percentage of energy in an ecosystem occurs at the level of what? A says producers, B says primary consumers, C says secondary consumers, D says decomposers. I'm sure you know that answer very well. Now let us see. Please tell me the answer in the comment section. So let us see 2022 number 37. It says that the linear feeding relationship between organisms in an ecosystem is known as what? Linear feeding relationship. All right. A says food chain, B says pyramid, C says food web, D says nutrition. Tell me the answer in the comment section. Very easy. 2018 number 28. It says, which of the following statements about feeding relationship is correct? Which of them is correct? They say, in a food web on land, grasshopper feeds on praying mantis and on predator bugs. B say, in a food chain on land, green plant is the producer. C say, in an aquatic food web, various copepods feed on mollusk larvae and on sea eel. D says, in an aquatic food chain, mollusk larvae are the producers. That should be, in fact, the answer is very, very clear there. All right. So tell me the answer in the comment section. 1995 number 32. It says here that in a food chain involving a primary producer, a primary consumer, as well as a secondary consumer, the sharing of trophic energy is in the form that the primary consumer has more energy than the primary producer. B says the secondary consumer takes up all the energy content of the primary consumer. C say energy is shared equally between the three groups of organisms. This says secondary consumer gets only a small portion of the energy contained in the primary producer. All right. If you know what you're doing, it's very, very easy. If you understand a pyramid of energy very well, you see that this question will be the easiest for you. So tell me the answer in the comment section. So let us see 2020 number 36. It says here that which of the following would be the primary producer in the food chain? Let's say saprophytes. B say primary producer. B say herbivores. C says carnivores. D say green plants. So tell me the answer in the comment section. All right, please search for year 2000 number 36 and answer. And tell me the answer in the comment section. Also search for year 2024 on the O3 Schools app number 34. Tell me the answer in the comment section. Then tell me also, search for your 2024 number 11. Okay, tell me the answer in the comment section. Okay, so I wish you all the best. I'll see you in the next class. Okay, we're going to talk about nutrient cycle. Okay, water cycle, talk about nitrogen cycle and the likes. All right, I'll see you in the next class. Thank you for watching.